next one up on the bench is, once this is completed, which of course by the time you see this video that one will be, because I'll be uploading this afterwards, is this Airfix 1/32 scale Ford Escort Mark 1. Now, as far as I'm aware, this is the only Mark 1 Escort model around, or certainly the only one I've been able to find, because I did look to see if I could find a 24th scale one with no success whatsoever. And they're not the best kits, they're very basic kits. I believe these are repops of old Airfix kits of certain cars. And there's a lot of flash and a lot of seam lines and what have you. The detail's not great, but the good thing about a kit like this is if you can produce a car at the end of it, or a model at the end of it that looks like it should, then you feel like you've achieved something. So I quite enjoy building these from time to time for that reason, because the Tamiya kits, while it's nice to detail them up and make them look good, they do kind of fall together very easily compared to most other kits. But anyway, Airfix starter sets, general comments on these. You will get a set of paints in little pots, which will enable you to build the model to the colour specifications pictured on the box. Best thing you can do with those is take them out, throw them in the bin. They're not much good. Get yourself some decent paints, some Humbrol enamels or some acrylics of your favoured type. The brushes, again, not up to a great deal. They're not the best brushes, but certainly worth keeping. And save your good brushes for painting if you're a brush painter, and these can be used for things like pin washers and chop down the bristles, use them for dry brushing or whatever. There's multitudes of uses, they're just not the best brushes. These are intended as kind of like a bit of a gift set really. You go into a shop, you buy this and it's got everything you need to build the kit. The polycement always comes in handy. Throw it in a drawer or keep it on your desk or what have you. I like to use a range of different types of cement depending on what I'm gluing together. But anyway, here's the box. So we've got nice box art on the front, which is replicated on the sides. We've got general information on the bottom of the box there. Nice sort of box art on the top, which is labelled actual size, giving you an idea of how big the model will be once built, which is kind of nice. And on the back, in lieu of having this on the instructions as you normally would, you've got a colour diagram showing the paint code colours at the bottom here, and showing the vehicle and which bits are painted which colour, which is a nice little touch. The box pops open at the bottom like so, and you slide out the contents, and that's empty, and of course you've got the bits and bobs up there. We're just going to throw that to the side for the moment, and we've got a set of fold out instructions, and somewhere in here will be the decals, yep, down there, which are essentially an option of two different registration plates, silver on black, as the old 70s UK registrations were. And you've got a bit of blurb about the Escort. The Escort, the forged challenger for the international light car market of the 70s, is a direct successor to the famous 105e Anglia, sales of which top the 1 million mark. Two-door saloon and estate car versions of the Escort are produced, and there are now 8 different models, from the saloon to the estate car deluxe 1300cc and the high performance twin cam. The Mark 1 Escort, for anyone that knows, is still a popular car today for people entry level into road rallying, and for people to tune up and what have you, because the old crossflow engines are very tunable, and they are, as a result, much more expensive than they were when they were new, unfortunately. But anyway, the instruction sheet is a simple tri-fold panel, and the instructions just cover 2 pages showing the assembly of the engine, the running gear and chassis, the underneath of the chassis, the exhaust and such like, the internal parts, and then the body shell and everything just dropping onto the top there. And you've got the sheet to enable you to write down notes if you so wish. Very simple. In the bag here we have got a bag here with clear parts, which is a one-piece window section, front, rear and side windows all in one piece. We've got a driver in there, looking very smart, in a suit and tie, with you can paint him up, and then you've got 1, 2, 3 sprues plus a 4th one with the driver and the seats on, of various parts which are reasonably moulded for the size of the kit. and then you've got the car body itself, which is there. I've now started prepping this, so I'm just going to scoot over to the table, show you the sprues and talk about some of the prep work so far. And then it's off to give it a clean in warm soapy water to get rid of the mould release agent and any oils and that kind of thing, and start building the sub-assemblies. So there we go. In the bag we have, first of all, the body shell. Now I'm just going to talk about this a little bit before we move on to the rest of the sprues. This needed a lot of cleaning up. I've basically taken everything out and I've started cleaning it up, ready for washing, cleaning and prepping for primer and paint. Now it needed seam lines on the front and back wings. These are quite rounded, the real thing, if you know the Mark 1 Escort. These were sharp edges, but they also had flash on as well, so they needed cleaning up. Both sides. There was quite a bit of flash on the sill areas, on the front, on the rear, and the inner sort of windows are okay, that kind of thing, but things like the strut on this side, on the left hand side, went right the way up to the guttering there, and the guttering, the flash extended down past the guttering line right down here. So compared to the Tamiya kits, which are obviously better quality, better cast, but more expensive accordingly as a result of that, this did need a lot of cleaning up. However, it's cleaned up quite nicely. So I've gotten rid of the mould lines on there and scored the boot and door shut lines, just so that will accept to wash a little bit later to make those stand out a bit. We've got the body shell and the floor pan, which also includes the ladder rail chassis as separate components. We have a small sprue here which contains the wheels, the front and rear bumpers, the headlight assembly, various parts of the engine, and exhaust and inlet manifold and so on, and the hubcaps, sorry, not the wheels, the hubcaps there. And over on this larger sprue here we have various components related to the engine, the fan, the air cleaner, the brake servo assembly, the radiator, the pedals and so on. The sidewalls, the inner wings if you like, are these here. They're quite crudely moulded, but they'll do the job. We've got the dashboard. Is that the dashboard? No, sorry, that's not the dashboard, but these are interior panels. That one for the rear window and this one must be for the front part of the dashboard perhaps. Handbrake and suspension unit, steering wheel, and these pins up at the top here are for locating the wheels on. Nicely moulded little handbrake lever down there. I think that's quite kind of cool. And then the final complete sprue, actually that's a fib, there is another sprue which I'll show you in a second, but the final complete sprue to do with the car as such is this one here, which contains the bonnet, or hood as our American friends would call it, the wheels which are moulded in one piece, which is actually quite nice. I thought they'd be two piece and glued together, and they can be fiddly and end up a bit messy, so the one piece, which is quite good. You've got the big divots in this side, which is where the hubcaps slot into. The good thing about that is you can paint these up without worrying too much about masking them. So you can get a good tyre black on these, and then you can paint the hubcaps up separately without worrying about masking them, and there's not much fiddling around. We've got the rear differential transmission, the front strut and steering assembly, the dashboard, which is there, and the rear leaf springs, and then up here we have the exhaust pipe with the silencer box. Now the final remaining one is the little fella, the driver, if you wish to include him. I don't think I will be, to be honest, and the seats. There you go. The only other parts are one clear sprue which contains a single piece of the glass, very very thick, incredibly thick in fact, but a good dunk in clear and hopefully a polish and a dunking clear, and hopefully that should make that appear much thinner, much more transparent. The good thing about it, in a way, being thick is because there's so little interior detail, the thickness of the clear parts should hide the bulk of that, so you can see enough like the seat colours, the dashboard and that kind of thing, but it'll hide the fact that there's no door cards and quite a lot of missing interior detail really. And then the other remaining bit is this here, which are the front lights, the rear lights and the front indicators, all on one little sprue there. That's an overview of the sprues and the contents of the kit. There's not a great deal in there, as you can see, and obviously as you can see from the previous video, you've literally only got 2 A4 sheets of instructions, so it's quite straightforward. Match everything together, glue the bits together and paint away and what have you. Now I want to try and make as decent a kit as I can out of this. While I appreciate it's not an excellent quality kit like a 24th scale Tamiya kit you would expect to be, or a larger scale, you know, it should still build up into quite a decent model. So the next step is to go and wash all these parts in washing up liquid, or dish soap as our American friends call it. Warm water, using an old toothbrush. I use an old toothbrush to sort of give it all a really good scrub into all the crevices and everything, and then rinse it off in clean water, and then I tend to leave it to sit and air dry. You can, however, pat it dry with towels. Try not to use anything too fluffy though. You don't want any bits of fluff and lint sticking to it, because they just causes problems. So you can pat it dry using paper towels, for example, or you can blow it dry using something like a hairdryer on cold setting, or your airbrush with no paint in, something like that. And then at that point it will be ready for primer, so we'll see you in the next video.